Hello, friends, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time with us, my name's Elena, and today I'm going through a lot. I know I haven't posted in like 6 weeks. Life's been crazy. I'm in school. I teach classes and I take classes and I do research. I don't need to give you my excuses. Also, 4 more kittens just showed up on my porch yesterday, so I needed to do something light and fluffy. If that kind of chaos sounds like your type of content, feel free to subscribe or whatever if you want to. But again, I haven't uploaded in 6 weeks, so don't really get your hopes up. Anyway, today we are making the cast from Victorious. If you have been wondering why Victorious is all over your Twitter timeline for the past few weeks, that is because it just got put onto Netflix. And because Disney Plus now means that there's no Disney shows anywhere else, everybody's returning to some of their old Nickelodeon favorites, as they should, because Victorious is... I did not realize how much of my early high school experience was predicated on the desire to be exactly like Tori from Victorious. Obviously, I can't sing, nor do I look like Victoria Justice, but I could try, So, this is going to be a good time. I did use custom content. There will be a post with all the custom content that I used on my Tumblr eventually. It's Thanksgiving break, so hopefully that'll happen pretty quickly. These are the kids. We're starting with Tori because she's the main character. I kind of just went in the order that they appeared on the Wikipedia page, except for I made Jade last because I knew that I would need to these 8 sim households based on TV shows are kind of a marathon because I have to find reference photos and decide on what outfits I'm going to emulate, and I have to flip back and forth, and it takes me upwards of an hour to do some of these individually, some of these characters. So I knew that I needed to leave Jade for last because I would still care when it came to Jade. Anyway, long story short, here's Tori. She has the famous aspiration because I just watched an episode where the teacher asks her what her biggest dream is, and she's to be a pop star, so there she is. Her dream's to be a pop star. She's a music lover, she's outgoing, and I think I eventually add creative because those are kind of her 3 personality traits. This show suffered from a true case of Mary Sue-itis. I think Mary Sue as a character trope, basically, if you're not familiar, Mary Sue is the main character is this girl who everything good happens to her, and she's been through so much, but she's still so brave, and she has all these magical talents without having to work hard at them, and everybody's in love with her, and also she's beautiful, and her eyes are probably purple. And I think people misuse that a lot because they just see a female character that can do stuff, and they're like, hey, that seems unrealistic. But Tori really was man. So the general premise of this show is that Tori is she's a teenager who lives in Los Angeles who somehow is not trying to get into the entertainment industry already. Her sister goes to this performing arts high school despite the fact that her sister is similar to her but less pretty and very not talented. And so she just happens to be forced to perform at her sister's showcase at her sister's fancy performing arts high school. And the principal... Oh my God. The principal comes out on stage afterwards, I think, or the guidance counselor, and is like, do you go here? You should go here. And she was like, no, I can't possibly sing. And then there's a big standing ovation for her performance. They closed the curtains. The guidance counselor was like, you should go to this school. And she's like, I'm not talented enough for that. And then one of the dudes opens the curtains and has the audience applaud to convince her that she should. It's a great show. So she is very, Tori can never do anything wrong ever. There's, I think, a few storylines where she truly does something, mean and bad, and those are, my favorite ones. There's one where she kisses her friend's boyfriend, and I'm like, hell yeah, let's get some controversy up in here. But generally, her role on the show is just to be, the prettiest, nicest, and most talented one. She always gets picked first for everything, even though, objectively speaking, the actress who played her, Victoria Justice, is not, the most talented singer on the cast. It's fine, though. But she is always the one who makes the friends and gets them out of their funny scrapes or whatever, because she's the main character and all that jazz. She always gets, a big solo. Honestly, the music from this show does still hold up completely. I have watched the episode where Tori enters that contest, that karaoke contest, about 70 times since they added Victorious to Netflix. It's great. If you have not watched this show and you ever have enjoyed anything released by like ABC Family, which is now called Freeform, highly recommend. And they're really, they're Nickelodeon episodes. It's like 22 minutes. Love yourself, watch some Victorious. I will say that I enjoyed getting the opportunity to like really lean into the falsies that I have, like the eyelash custom content that I have. Because usually, when you're making a real person, you have to pick, like, some subtle little some, like, little baby, like, oh, I'm wearing some brown mascara. No, on Nickelodeon, you get to use, like, the biggest, fakest eyelashes possible. Because this was, like, 2010, maybe? And it was just, like, every girl you see is so skinny and so beautiful and perfect. Yeah. I will say, I desperately wanted to look like Victoria Justice when I was younger. Like, I don't think it was even a gay thing. I think I genuinely thought she was, like, so pretty I would have thrown myself off a cliff to look like her. This was kind of in the era, backpedaling slightly. I've said this before, but it's a lot easier to make a sim based on a real person if that person has some kind of, like, distinct feature about them. And normally, like, a distinct facial feature. Normally, that's really hard to do with girls that are just, like, so pretty because, their facial features they're on purpose. There's nothing really specifically stand out about any of their features. Like, they all just kind of fit into a pretty face. But with Tori, the entire show, everybody talks about, like, how great her cheekbones are. So she's got, like, these whack-ass alien cheekbones, but it made her look like Tori Vega, so here we are. Okay, so for outfits for all of these kids, for the first outfit, like the daily wear, that's the only outfit that I put a bunch of custom content onto. And I based them all off of, like promotional photos that I found on Google. So those are all, like, exact matches for a specific outfit. You'll see that in the screenshots. For the rest of the outfits, it's just kind of, like, things that I think Nickelodeon would put kids in 2011. So the formal wear is based on their prom episode. Of course, Tori organizes the prom, and she calls it prom because it's quirky. Prom. Amazing. This show was a treasure. And then for their hot weather and swimwear outfits, it's based off of this episode, an iconic episode truly from season 1, where they all get stuck in this like RV in the parking lot of a beach. And so it's just like really, really hot and they're all going to die. And it genuinely gets like kind of tense there for a second. Like watching it as a kid, it was all for laughs, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, babies die when you leave them in a hot car. Like they truly could die in there. Anyway. So that's where their hot weather and swimwear outfits come from. I'm feeling it's Thanksgiving break. I'm feeling a little jazzy this morning. And once again, there are now 4 more kittens on my porch that I feel the need to take care of. So I've got a lot of manic energy. Anyway, moving on to Trina. I actually posted a poll on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, feel free to. It's eb-sims-yt. Anyway, so Trina is Tori's big sister. And she serves the entire purpose of just, like, being worse than Tori at everything and, like, causing problems that people then have to solve. And they make this really big point the entire time of, like, she just doesn't know that she's a dumb idiot who's ugly. Like, I mean, obviously they hired a beautiful actress because they couldn't let any of us have, like, normal self-esteem. But so they hired this beautiful actress who's really talented and then made her sing like shit and dress like shit the entire time. I will be dropping a couple of swear words in every video now because I'm not trying to get my channel flagged as for children. Okay? Thank you. So Trina is, she also wants to be famous because that's her whole thing. She wants to be famous. She is self-centered, like the trait that came with Get Famous because, yes. She's materialistic and she's lazy because those are like all of her character traits on the show. She has not a single redeeming personality trait, which really effed them over sometimes. Fucked them over. I'm not a children's channel. Screwed them over sometimes because, like, they'd have to, like, justify why Trina should still be around. And it always came down to the fact, like, oh, Tori's too nice to tell her sister that she's actually a piece of shit. Oh, God, this show's so annoying. But it's so good. So, yeah, Trina, a beautiful, beautiful actress that they just, like, made her dress funny and weird and act funny and weird. She does have clay hair. Like I was going to say earlier, I put a survey on my Twitter to decide whether or not I was going to add Trina to this household at all. Because, frankly, I don't enjoy her on the show. And I didn't really feel like making a sim of her because, again, it takes me some time. But people said that I had to, so I did. But here she is. But I gave her clay hair because she deserves it. Like, one of the full base game, like, awful starter hairs. This is a different thing that has nothing to do with Trina Vega. And, of course, her name's Trina. Like, she could have been named something cool and sexy, like Tori. But no, Trina. The parents really knew what they were doing with that one. That's the other thing. Throughout the entire show, the parents hate this girl. Like, they're constantly making these jokes about, like, oh, we don't want to have to take care of Trina. Like, Tori, you have to take your sister with you. And Tori's like, but why can't you? And her parents are like, because we hate her too. Like, would that not mess you up a little bit? What was going on at Nickelodeon? Anyway. So Trina has the clay hair, the terrible base game hair. It's actually decently accurate, though. And she, I think, out of all of them, has the craziest fake eyelashes. Because they really wanted to lean into this whole thing of, like, Trina puts a lot of effort into her appearance. So obviously that's embarrassing. Yeah. This show, man. Like, I've made Sims households based on TV show casts before that are TV shows from, like, the early 10s, kind of. And no wonder I was kind of messed up about my, like, own body and face, because they're really obsessed. Like, that whole show, you can tell a girl, like, I think at one point Trina's like, you look a little bloated, and Tori's like, oh my god, no, I look bloated, and it's like the word, it's so mean. And now if somebody told me I looked kind of bloated, I'd be like, okay, bitch, like, great, I have other things to do. But at the time, I was, like, absorbing this as just how you're supposed to behave as a lady. Not that I have a whole lecture to go on, or 7, but I do. I'll spare you, though, mostly. Anyway, this Trina mostly dresses in pink and purple and is super obnoxious. I will say that a lot of the clothing from The Sims, just like, I finally found a use for that Moschino top with the English letters on it. Still mad about that, but it's fine. Why couldn't you just put it in Simlish? Like, I know it's advertising for Moschino, but, like, we already paid for the pack. Just give me my Simlish t-shirt, god damn it. So she dresses really obnoxious. That's her whole thing. I think, actually, fun fact, while I was Googling, for, like, pictures of the actress so that I could make her face accurate, and I think her face actually did turn out pretty good, I found out that Daniela Monet, who is the actress who played Trina Vega, is a passionate vegan, and there are videos of her on the internet. Of course, like, being vegan is great, and it's good for the environment, and yada yada, but she has posted videos of herself, like, openly sobbing, talking about the dairy industry, and I just have to, like, really applaud the kind of, I don't know what character trait it is that would have you just, like, balls to the wall, just post a video of yourself full sobbing on the internet. Like, that's passion, and I respect it. Anyway, Andre. Okay, so Andre, what a beautiful boy. I want to start off, before I forget, saying that I owe the entirety of Andre's accuracy to Savvy Sweet, who creates, like, custom content hair, mostly, like, black textured hair, for The Sims 4, obviously, and all of their custom content is fantastic, and it's so good, and it's just, like, oh, like, it's all so beautifully made, and it all really reflects, like, hairstyles that you see in real life that are just gorgeous, and I'm very into it. So if you like custom content at all, highly recommend, because I think a lot of the custom content that we get is, you know, this, not the same, but, like, the same kind of, like, 4 wavy hairstyles mixed and matched in different ways, and those are all beautiful, obviously, but, like, you know, Savvy Sweet. What a royal. Anyway, so Andre, you actually won't see the hair until the screenshots, because I, like, went and downloaded it after I was done with Andre because I couldn't find a good hair for him. But again, Savvy Sweet coming in, fixing my entire life. So that's where his hair at the end comes from, and I just had to give a specific shout out to that CC creator because I think that they're great. Anyway, so Andre has the music genius aspiration. I don't remember what the actual name for it is, because that's kind of he's less interested in being famous and more interested in, like, all the aspects of making music, like production, writing, recording, that kind of stuff. He's less, like, performance focused than the rest of them, and he's always the one that, like, magically makes up a song at the last minute to, like, save the day and, like, fix the problem. A lot of the problems on the show are fixed by impromptu musical performances. It'd be like that. Then he has the goofball trait because that's kind of his, like, that's his, like, thing, you know? He's like, a quirky, cute music boy, because otherwise he would have just been, like, the hottest guy on the show, and they couldn't have anybody outshine Beck, so they had to make Andre kind of goofy. But he still is, like, in my mind, I think that Andre should have been the romantic lead of this whole show. Like, I think it should have been a slow burn between him and Tori the whole way through, even though Tori's kind of annoying. Like, I believe that. Anyway, he also has the genius trait because, like, that's kind of his thing, is he can do anything related to music. He can produce a song, he can record a song, he can perform really well, he can play a billion instruments. He just has, like, this real knack for things. So that's his whole deal. Also, the actor that played him, Leon Thomas III, I think, is very good looking these days. So thanks, universe. Also, he has the good trait, because that's another one of his things, is that he's just, like, he's nice. He's just a nice guy. There's a whole, not in, like, a cringe way, where the milady way, but in a genuine good, like, he's a good friend, he's a good person, he looks out for people, he's a nice boy, so he has a good trait. He was pretty easy to dress because they just put him in a lot of hoodies. I don't know, this particular hoodie is a recolor of a base game one by Wildly Miniature Sandwich, who I also love. Anyway, so yeah, I had fun with his face, and somebody, when I posted the thumbnail on Twitter, somebody said, like, oh, Andre looks great, and I was like, thanks, I'm so happy. I love him. Anyway, yeah, Andre, I think, is, like, he's a little bit also of a Mary Sue in that he can do literally anything. Like, he just magically has, like, every skill that you could possibly need to, like, make a professionally recorded level song, and they can do it in, like, one night. He's the one that writes the song that Tori gets into the school on. He's always, like, around to help out with, like, Tori's projects and Tori's whatever, and yeah, I don't know. He's delightful. I love him a lot. This is not just a whole video of me bashing on Tori, obviously, but I do think that this is, like, Victorious, like many other things, kind of has Twilight Syndrome, where, like, the main characters are, like, the main character is kind of like, you know, just a shell for you to project onto as, like, a teenage girl. And then, which is not me, like, shading things that are made for teen girls at all, but I just think that's kind of a thing, you know? They give you a character that, like, because you have low self-esteem because you're a 15-year-old girl, they're like, here's a character that you can imagine yourself being. We're not going to give her, like, too many personality traits, so that you can kind of just decide who she is for yourself and, like, imagine yourself as this girl, and then we'll surround her with these fun and interesting characters. Anyway, Robbie's next. So Robbie also has the goofball trait because him and Andre, like, that's their thing that they do together, is to do, like, goofy boy stuff, you know? They're, like, the not cool boys that are just, like, in the background doing dorky things all the time. And then occasionally, well, very occasionally for Robbie, Andre usually has, like, a date, but Robbie also has the unflirty trait because, like any nerdy dude on any kids show from this era, he, like, a good 60% of his storylines revolve around his inability to date girls, which is, like, I mean, same, bud. Like, I can't pretend I don't relate. He's also geeky because he has glasses, and so they gave him that personality trait. I don't know. He's just very socially awkward, doesn't really know how to talk to girls or people, and he also has, I realize now that I should have said this probably first, he has a puppet that, like, a ventriloquist puppet that's just always with him, and this is another one of those aspects of the show that, like, when you think about it too hard, it gets, like, real dark, because the puppet A is, like, pretty abusive to this kid. Like, he's just constantly super mean, always, like, picking on him, dragging him down, telling him he's a piece of shit, and then, like, throughout the whole show, they kind of treat him like he's his own separate character, but that either means that this kid has a possessed doll, or that he has just, like, such low self-esteem that this is how he talks to himself inside his head. So, anyway, Robbie in therapy, 2K20, please. This is another thing where Nickelodeon just hired, like, a very handsome actor and, like, put some glasses on him and gave him kind of a bad haircut, because he's also, Ariana Grande is part of the cast of the show, as you may know already, and in her music video for Thank You Next, she brought in several of her Victorious cast members. So Liz Gillies, who plays Jade, is in that video. And Robbie, the actor who played Robbie, is the one who's like reenacting that toothbrushing scene with her from Bring It On. I recently rewatched that music video because I was doing kind of some research for this video, and it's still good. It's still very good. I have a lot of thoughts about it, but that's a different video essay. So Robbie, a sweet boy. I did make Rex his ventriloquist puppet, which is as creepy as it sounds, but it's fine. We're doing great. He was also very easy to dress because they just put nerdy dudes in like the same 3 polo shirts and graphic tees. Okay, so Rex is probably a Republican because he doesn't believe in climate change. He's a creepy ass ventriloquist puppet. That's like his whole thing, is just that like he says weird stuff, and like is mean to Robbie and like acts of his own volition sometimes in a way that suggests that something is either horribly wrong with Robbie and he needs to like see some people about it, or that Rex is like really alive. And I'm never sure, like, what the people on the show think of it. Like, all the adults clearly think that Robbie's a weirdo with a puppet, but, like, his friends kind of treat Rex like it's a whole lot. Anyway, so Rex has the fussy trait because his entire role, like Trina, his entire role on the show is just to, like, cause problems on purpose. I also highly do not recommend that you allow Rex to age up normally because he looks very creepy as an adult. So that's that. I just kind of threw some outfits on him, but he's always wearing the same exact thing, so, rip. I also made all of the cast, like, young adults because I wanted to give them all 3 traits. So, technically, Rex is Richie's son. Robbie. I've been reading a lot of, like, It Chapter 2 things lately. It's fine. So, in all the pictures on the gallery, if you want to download them from the gallery, Robbie has Rex, like, sat on his hip, almost exactly like it is in the show, and it's kind of cute. Okay, so speaking of Ariana Grande, Cat Valentine, you may recognize her as, like, the palest Ariana Grande has ever been. For each of the characters, I used a specific promotional photo, and some of them are from different seasons. So I used some promotional, like, stuff from season 1 for Cat, mostly because I just, like, couldn't find a lot from the later seasons. So she's still, because she gets, like, progressively tanner as the show goes on, but she is really pale in this, so, she's season 1 tan level, which is very different than Ariana Grande looks now. That's a whole different lecture. So she has the not jack of all trades, but the Renaissance sim trait, because there is a scene where she has to re-audition to get into Hollywood Arts, the high school that they all go to, and she has like 60 talents. Like, she's like juggling and singing a Broadway song and tap dancing and doing gymnastics and all these different things. So I gave her the Renaissance sim trait because she really doesn't seem like she has one particular thing that she's into. She seems like she wants to be a one-woman circus. I also gave her the music lover trait because she does sing all the time, because it's Ariana Grande, and you're an idiot if you cast Ariana Grande on your show and then just don't have her sing. And she's obviously really good on this show because she has that, like, theater kid voice, and then she's childish because that's her entire personality on the show, is just, like, not knowing how to behave like an adult, not knowing how to do things. Very cute, very clueless, all that jazz. And then she also has the cheerful trait, because that's another one of her things. Like, that something's horribly wrong when Cat goes, like, is genuinely upset with you. She also does have, like, hella fake eyelashes, but I think it works. Ariana, I think, has one of those faces where it's just so, like, classically pretty that you don't really know what to do with it. So I, like, tried my best, but I don't know if she looks like Ariana Grande so much as she looks like just kind of like a generic girl that would be beautiful by classical standards today. Anyway, she's really cute, though, in the end, I think. And she does definitely look like season 1 Cat. I think her outfit took me forever. You're about to see me spend 50 years picking it out. I will say that I decided over the course of rewatching the show, that Cat has, like, ADHD for sure. And so I got to project on her in that way, which was fun. Yeah, I spent so long on her clothes because I found this, like, very specific picture that I wanted to imitate, and then I don't know why I couldn't let go of it. It's because I have ADHD, haha. And so you'll see me try on. Actually, I think I cut out a lot of the outfit picking because it truly took so long. So at one point she just shows up in an outfit, and that's just go with it. She is very cute in the end, obviously. She's that character that, like, really does not get a whole ton of development throughout the show, because her whole thing is just being, like, dumb and cute and funny. That is her like survival mechanism, actually, is just being, like, so cute that people want to take care of her. Yeah, I don't really know. I think Ariana Grande is actually very funny. Like, I think she does a good job on this show, but it is really, like, you forget that she's now a world famous pop star while you're watching it, because she just seems so perfectly, like, Disney kid, Nickelodeon kid, dorky cute, like, saying her lines super loud and projecting like crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I think she turned out cute in the end, though, but you do get to see me go through a million skirts. I did give her custom content heels, even though she probably didn't need them because I'm obnoxious. But like I said, all the custom content will be in a Tumblr post that I will link below. Yeah, Cat is just, like, I don't know. I think I related to her as a kid, but in a way where, like, I couldn't get away with just being, like, cute and perky all the time, because I was also kind of a mean little shrew. So she was the self that I imagined when I was like, what if I truly leaned into this lol random personality that I am learning to use from iCarly? And I think this is what I imagined myself to be. I think Kat is really, because the showrunner for this TV show, who also made iCarly and Sam and Cat, Dan Schneider. There's a whole other soapbox lecture I could get into with Dan Schneider and his, like, foot thing. But he does have I think, like, he was the defining voice of the, like, haha, like, penguin taco, like, random, like, sense of humor that was so pervasive in that era with people my age. And Kat is, like, the purest embodiment of that on this show. Like, you know, on iCarly, when her brother would make them, like, spaghetti tacos, like that. Like, that's the exact thing that I'm talking about. So Kat, I think, there was an entire episode where she just was wearing moon boots, and that was, like, her storyline, was she would just show up in different scenes wearing moon boots and, like, bounce around through people's, like, emotionally fraught conversations doing, like, the sprongy noise. Yeah, what a queen, honestly. Like, good for her. She does, of course, I mean, spoilers, I'll give you, like, a good 3 seconds before I start saying the spoiler. She does kind of end up with Robbie at the end, which, you know, I don't know. I don't know about it. I think they just wanted to give Robbie a girlfriend because, like, all of the dudes that write the show projected onto Robbie. It's fine. Anyway, she is super cute, though. She is very endearing. She's, like, this endearing, ultra cute character that you don't hate by the end of it, because the entire time she is just sincerely trying her best. Like, she really sincerely just is trying her best and wants to be friends with everybody and wants to, like, be happy. And, you know, I'm happy for her. Also, the name Cat Valentine is, like, spectacular. Whoever came up with that, 10 out of 10. Hope you got a raise. Unless it was Dan Schneider. In that case, I don't have anything to say to you. I gave her that Get Famous jacket because it's very cute and catty. Also, this hair does not perfectly represent her hair from that one promotional photo that I was trying to match, but that's my perfectionist problem and not yours. Okay, so Beck. Beck is played by Evan Jogia, I think. My whole life I thought it was Hogia, but then I saw him do an interview recently and he said Jogia, so I don't know where to go with my life from here. But he was, like, the cutest boy I had ever seen in my whole life. I thought that I was, like, ascending to a different realm every time I saw him on my computer screen. He was just, like, so good, and he had these, like, the soulful eyes, and he looked kind of like there's a point where one of the side characters says that Beck is so handsome, like a pretty pony, and, like, that's exactly it. That is it. So now every time I see Avon Jogia in anything else, I feel like I have to experience that, because I just, like, thought he was so cute as a kid. Like, this show, I think I had a crush on all of the characters, but Beck was really just like he was just so cute, and he was so cool all the time. He was just like the cool guy that could never do anything wrong, and he had that like really, looking back on it, you know, he's like a skinny teenager. He looked like he had like little noodle arms, but every girl on the show was just like constantly fawning over him because he has great hair, and you know, I respect that. And right now I also depend on my hair for all of my attractiveness points, so like I relate to this kid. Anyway, so he has the actor aspiration because he's like the deep artist boy, because he wants to be an actor. And I mean this in like the nicest possible way, but I think guys who are really into acting can get a little pretentious, kind of. So that's sort of the vibe he gives off, is just like pretentious and anti-establishment. And like eventually he'll get really into socialism, and like he definitely smokes a lot of weed, but it's not that great because you take one look at him and you know that he has money. That's Beck. So yeah, acting aspiration, romantic, art lover, and self-assured, because yeah, I think those are decently accurate. You know, there's a lot that you could improve on with the Sims 4 trait system, but it does a pretty okay job when you're trying to build character archetypes from Nickelodeon shows. So yeah, that's Beck. I actually just watched an episode where it's like they're redoing The Breakfast Club basically, and there's all these little like references to the movie that you don't get until you're quite a bit older than their kind of target demographic was. So there's a section where they're all like making fun of people for being vegans because they're refusing to eat tacos. There's a lot to unpack there, but basically I think that the writers are also smoking a lot of weed while they come up with the plots for these episodes. And then finally, at long last, we have Jade. Jade is mean as hell, in a way that's like just a little, when you're like a 15-year-old girl that like wishes she had that power, it's like a little sexy, you know? You wish you could have that. She's Beck's girlfriend, and like her entire shtick on the show is that she's mean, she's scary, and she's terrified of Tori stealing her man, which I think is objectively hilarious, because like if they wanted to suggest that she was into girls any harder, you know, like, oh man, there's this girl who shows up at school and like everybody agrees that she's so pretty and talented, but I hate her and I have to mess with her constantly, and it's because of Spins Wheel, my boyfriend, you know? I just think it's hilarious. Anyway, I saved her for last because I knew that I'd be flagging by the time I got to the end of the household, and I knew I would care about making her look good. So here she is. Yeah, writer aspiration, because I think she is very, like, that's her and Beck's thing, is just being like the artsy couple that are very, I don't know what the word is, but like, yeah, up their own asses. Not each other's, their own. Yeah, artsy people. She's very into writing plays, especially, and that kind of thing. And then she's jealous because, once again, that's the entire plot line for her throughout the whole show, is just like, oh no, what if Tori steals my man? Amazing. The feminism, it just really jumps out. Music lover, because again, she also does sing really well, I think. I might say that she has the best vocals out of any girl on the show, including Ariana. I don't know. I don't really know anything about music. It's kind of a controversial opinion. But anyway, yeah. She's a star. I, as usual, because I have no taste, to make the streaks in her hair, instead of going out and finding hair that had like an ombre on it or something, I just added a pro tip, a like hair accessory that was not built to be used with that hair at all. In this case, a headband, because that way it kind of like overlays some just sort of random parts of the mesh. Next time you need streaks in one of your character's hairs, try that. You're welcome. And then she's also got the mean trait, because that's, yeah, I mean, that's like her whole thing. She's like mean and jealous and scary. She really, I think that I'm not alone in this, because of the things that I've seen on Twitter. I think she may have turned every girl between the ages of 13 and 15 in the years that the show was airing gay. Like, not to exaggerate, but maybe every single one. She's great. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that are just like the gay subtext of Victorious. I mean, I love to read into things. It's my favorite activity, but I will say that her number one thing she carries around at all times is scissors. So take from that what you will. Anyway, yeah, I have been enjoying the resurgence of nostalgia because it means that I finally get to understand, like, oh yeah, yep, that's why I watched. Actually, if you watched Victorious for the same reasons I did, you'll remember the song Give It Up, you know, the one that Ariana Grande and this character performed together. And it's like one of those super, you know, like, they're both at the top of their vocal game in that song, in my opinion. And they also, you know, they're performing together, so they do those cute little girl things where they, like, dance back to back or whatever. And when I was, like, 14 years old, I watched it a billion times, just like, I just think they're neat. Good times. Amazing. Yeah, so there's her streaks. They don't look perfect, obviously, but, you know, in a pinch, it works. I will also say that Jade is the single reason I waited until University was released to try and make these Sims, because I knew that University was coming with those sick piercings. I actually downloaded a bunch of extra ones, and then still used the ones that Maxis did because they were, obviously, when she was on the show, it was a fake eyebrow piercing. So I think they just stuck, like, 2 rhinestones to the top and bottom of her eyebrow, basically. Amazing. But so the super chunky, like, EA ones, the super chunky EA piercings actually look pretty accurate. I think that she gives off kind of like a Lilith goth vibe, or no. Lilith. No. The vampire girl. I cannot for the life of me remember her name, but I am in love with her. Lilith Fator. So that's kind of the vibe, like her and Lilith would be friends. Just some gameplay ideas to throw out there. Yeah, I forgot about a tattoo that she has right up until the very last second, and then I tossed it on there before I put it on the gallery, so you're welcome. Honestly, God bless all of the things that we got, like all the Create a Sim assets from University. They're fantastic. They're great, and especially those little tattoos are so cute. Yeah, I mean, that's mostly it. I have plenty of other nostalgia to unload on you, but I think we're almost at the end of the recording. So, if you want them, they're on the gallery, as usual. I'll put a link to that in the description. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can also do that. If you want to follow me here, feel free. Don't feel any pressure, though, because let me restate that I had uploaded in early October, and that was the last video before this. Yeah. I will get around to making that post about all the custom content I use, but honestly, it's kind of a lot, so, like, have patience. But highly recommend that you go watch Victorious yourself on Netflix if you have not done so yet, just for the nostalgia factor. It's just delightful. Like, I think I had not yet gotten around to feeling nostalgic about being 14, you know, how it goes in cycles. I felt nostalgic about being 13, but now I'm like, wow, beginning of high school, I was thriving. I was just watching that video for Give It Up over and over and over again. Also have been very much enjoying the videos of, like, this actress performing with Ariana. Also singing Give It Up and just letting me relive my teenage moments, you know, those formative moments of watching Ariana Grande sing an R&B song. Yeah. I think that's it, but I will throw you to some screenshots. I also want to make a note that the outfits you see in the thumbnail are not included with these Sims. I just made those specifically to have a thumbnail that matched really well. If you do have any interest in whatever any of those items of clothing are, you can feel free to ask, but just so you know, they're not attached to the Sims themselves. So, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate you. I hope you appreciate you. And I will see you all next time, hopefully sooner than this time. Bye.